The final letter was dated 1 week before Anna died. I told him I was leaving, taking Clara and going to my sister's place. He laughed and said I'd never make it past the county line. Said dead women don't run away. I think he means it this time. If something happens to me, I need Clara to know the truth. This family breaks women. Always has. Maybe she'll be the one to break it back. Clara folded the letters carefully, retying the blue ribbon. Downstairs, Samuel snored in his chair, empty bottle rolling across the floor. The blood stain on the kitchen planks looked darker in the moonlight, like a map pointing toward revenge. Some cycles couldn't be healed. They had to be ended. Tuesday night arrived with thunder rolling across the valley. Samuel had been drinking since noon, watching Clara move through the house like Anna's ghost. The resemblance grew stronger each day. Same dark hair, same defiant eyes, same way of holding her shoulders when she was angry. "You look just like her," he said from the kitchen table. Clara was washing dishes at the sink. "Good. It's not good. Makes me remember things I want to forget." "Then stop looking." Samuel's chair scraped against the floor. "What did you say to me?" Clara kept scrubbing the same plate, her back to her father. "I said stop looking. Turn around when I'm talking to you." Clara set the plate in the drying rack. When she turned, Samuel was standing close enough to smell the whiskey on his breath, close enough to see the red veins mapping his eyes. "You've been getting mouthy lately. Think because your mama's gone, you can sass me. I think because my mama's gone, somebody needs to tell the truth." Samuel's hand moved fast, catching Clara across the cheek. The sound echoed through the kitchen like a gunshot. Clara stumbled but didn't fall. "That's for forgetting your place." Clara touched her burning cheek. "My place?" "Daughters obey their fathers. Bible says so. Bible says lots of things. Like thou shalt not kill." Samuel's eyes narrowed. "Your mama's death was an accident. My mama's death was murder." The second slap came harder. Clara's head snapped back, blood filling her mouth. This time she smiled. "There it is. The real you." Samuel grabbed her by the throat, fingers pressing into the same spots that had killed Anna. "You want to end up like your mama." "No." Clara's hand found the carving knife she'd placed on the counter that morning. "I want you to end up like you deserve." The blade slipped between Samuel's ribs like it was meant to be there. His eyes went wide, grip loosening on Clara's throat. Blood bloomed across his white shirt, spreading like spilled wine. "Clara," she twisted the knife. "That's for Mama." Samuel staggered backward, hitting the kitchen table. The whiskey bottle fell and shattered, mixing alcohol with blood on the wooden floor. "You stabbed me. I defended myself. I'm your father. You're a killer." Samuel pressed his hands to the wound, blood seeping between his fingers. "Help me." Clara picked up the dish towel he'd used to clean his hands 3 weeks ago. "Like you helped Mama." "Please." Did she beg? "When you were choking her, did she say please?" Samuel's legs gave out. He slid down the wall, leaving a red smear on the white paint. His breathing grew shallow, eyes losing focus. "Sheriff Morrison will come," he whispered. "Yes, he will. He'll arrest you." Clara knelt beside her father, watching life drain from his face. "He'll find a man who beat his wife to death and got what he deserved." Samuel's last breath rattled in his chest. Clara closed his eyes, then walked to the sink and began washing the blood from her hands. Outside, thunder crashed across the valley, and for the first time in 3 weeks, the house felt quiet. The cycle was broken. Sheriff Morrison's patrol car crunched up the gravel drive at dawn, just like before. Clara sat in Anna's rocking chair on the front porch, watching him climb out slowly, adjusting his belt. She'd been waiting since the storm passed. "Clara." Morrison removed his hat. "Neighbor called about screaming last night." "There was screaming. Your daddy inside?" "He's inside." Morrison walked past her into the house. Clara followed, bare feet silent on the wooden floors. In the kitchen, Samuel lay where he'd fallen, blood dried black around his body. "Jesus Christ." Morrison knelt beside the corpse. "What happened here?" "Self-defense." Morrison stood, turning to face Clara. "Self-defense." "He tried to kill me." "Same way he killed Mama." "Your Mama died in an accident." Clara walked to the kitchen counter and picked up Anna's letters, still tied with blue ribbon. "These say different." Morrison's eyes narrowed. "What's that?" 30 years of letters. Mama wrote to her sister about every beating, every threat, every time you chose not to see the truth. I don't know what you're talking about. Clara untied the ribbon, reading from the top letter. Samuel broke my ribs last Tuesday. Sheriff Morrison came by, but Samuel told him I fell down the stairs. Tom believed him like always. Morrison's face went pale. Where did you find those? Mama's trunk. She documented everything, including the night you helped Samuel bury his first wife. The sheriff's hand moved to his gun. You don't know what you're saying, Elizabeth Morrison. Your own sister. Samuel's first wife, who died in a convenient accident 25 years ago. Morrison's hand stilled. Elizabeth fell down the well. Elizabeth was pushed down the well after Samuel beat her unconscious. You can't prove that. Clara held up another letter. Mama saw it happen. She was 15, working in your kitchen. She watched you and Samuel drag Elizabeth's body to the old well behind the barn. Silence stretched between them. Outside, roosters crowed in the morning across the valley. Samuel was my friend, Morrison said quietly. Samuel was a killer. And you helped him. What do you want? Clara refolded the letters, retying the blue ribbon. I want you to write the truth in your report. Samuel killed my mother. I killed Samuel to save my own life, and if I don't, these letters go to the state police, along with a map to the well where your sister's bones are waiting. Morrison stared at Samuel's body for a long moment. He was trying to kill you. He was choking me, same way he choked Mama. Morrison pulled out his notebook, pen shaking in his weathered hands. Self-defense. Clear case. Clara sat back down in Anna's rocking chair, letters clutched against her chest. Some cycles have to be broken by force, Morrison wrote in silence, while the morning sun painted the kitchen gold. Justice finally wore the right face, and the valley would remember that some daughters inherit more than land. They inherit the strength to bury the past where it belongs. Papa beat Mama until she died, but his youngest daughter stood up and took his life in tears. Clara pushed through the kitchen door and stopped breathing. Her mother lay twisted beside the sink, Sunday dress torn at the shoulder, one arm bent wrong beneath her body. Blood pooled darkly around Anna's head, seeping into the cracks between the old wooden planks. At the kitchen table, Samuel methodically scrubbed his knuckles with a dish towel. Pink water dripped from his hands into a ceramic bowl painted with tiny blue flowers. Anna's favorite bowl, Papa. He didn't look up. She fell, Clara. Your mama fell. Clara's school books hit the floor. Fell where? Kitchen floor. Slipped on something wet. What was wet? Samuel's hands stilled. Water. From washing dishes. Clara stepped closer to her mother's body. Anna's face was swollen beyond recognition. Her left eye socket caved inward. Dark bruises ringed her throat like a necklace. That's not water, Papa. Don't you sass me, girl. I'm not sassing. I'm looking. Samuel stood, chair scraping against wood. You're looking at an accident. Accident. Clara knelt beside her mother, touching Anna's cold fingers. How many times did she accidentally fall, Papa? Oh, watch your mouth. How many times did you accidentally hit her? The dish towel dropped from Samuel's hands. Your mama was clumsy. Always tripping over herself, Clara rose slowly, keeping her eyes fixed on her father's face. Blood flecked his shirt collar. Scratches ran down his left cheek where fingernails had fought back. She fought you this time. She didn't fight anything. Look at your face, Papa. Look at your hands. Samuel touched his cheek reflexively. Cat scratched me this morning. We don't have a cat. Silence stretched between them like a blade. Outside, church bells rang the evening hour. Sunday supper would have been ready by now. Anna always had Sunday supper waiting. You're going to tell people she fell, Samuel said quietly. Am I? You're going to tell Sheriff Morrison she slipped and hit her head. Clara studied her father's face. 42 years old, hands like hammers, eyes that had gone dead years ago. And if I don't? Then you might slip too. The threat hung in the air between them. Clara felt something shift inside her chest, something sharp and cold, settling into place. Anna's blood was still warm. Her body still held the shape of trying to crawl away. I'll tell the sheriff exactly what I saw, Papa. Samuel smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. You saw your mama fall. That's all you saw. Clara looked down at her mother one more time. Anna's wedding ring caught the kitchen light. A thin gold band worn smooth by 30 years of promises broken and bones healed and silence swallowed. When Clara looked up again, her father was watching her with the patience of a man who had never lost a fight. "We'll see," she whispered. Sheriff Morrison's patrol car pulled into the gravel drive 20 minutes later. Clara watched from the kitchen window as he climbed out slowly, adjusting his belt, taking his time. Like he was visiting friends instead of investigating a death. Samuel met him at the front door. "Tom, appreciate you coming out." "Course, Sam. Heard there was trouble." They shook hands. Clara noticed how long they held the grip, how Morrison squeezed Samuel's shoulder like they were sharing grief instead of examining guilt. "Where's the body?" Morrison asked. "Kitchen." Anna slipped and hit her head on the counter edge. "Tragic thing." "Real tragic." Clara stepped into the hallway as the two men entered the kitchen. Morrison crouched beside Anna's body for less than 30 seconds, nodding as Samuel talked. She was washing dishes after church. "The floor must have been wet. You know how clumsy Anna could be. Always tripping over her own feet, that woman. Found her just like this when I came in from checking the fence line." Morrison stood, brushing dust from his knees. "Accidental death. Happens more than folks think." Clara stepped forward. "Sheriff Morrison." Both men turned. Morrison's face was weathered leather, eyes the color of old pennies. "Clara, honey." "Sorry about your mama." She didn't slip. Silence filled the kitchen like cold water. Morrison glanced at Samuel, then back at Clara. "What's that now?" "My mama didn't slip." "Look at her face. Head injuries can be deceiving, sweetheart. Make things look worse than they are. Look at my father's hands." Morrison didn't look. "Your daddy's got working hands. Always cut up from farm work." "Those aren't farm cuts." Samuel stepped closer to Clara. "Girl's upset. Not thinking straight. Course she's upset. Lost her mama." Morrison pulled out a small notebook, scribbled something without looking at Anna's body again. "I'll file this as accidental death. Slipped on wet floor, struck head on a counter. Clean and simple." Clara felt the walls closing in. "You're not going to investigate?" "Nothing to investigate, honey. Sometimes accidents happen. This wasn't an accident." Morrison snapped his notebook shut. "Your daddy and I go way back, Clara. Hunted together since we were boys. I know Samuel wouldn't hurt a fly." "You know wrong, Clara." Samuel's voice carried a warning. Morrison walked to the kitchen door, pausing to shake Samuel's hand again. "I'll have the coroner come by tomorrow. Get Anna to the funeral home proper. Appreciate it, Tom. Least I can do for family." Clara watched Morrison leave through the same door she'd entered an hour ago. The same door her mother would never walk through again. Family. The word tasted like metal in her mouth. "Sheriff Morrison's known me since. I was knee-high to a grasshopper," Samuel said after the patrol car disappeared. "Known your mama too. He understands how these things happen." Clara understood too now. Justice wasn't blind in small towns. It had eyes that chose what to see and hands that chose who to protect. Her father was untouchable. But Clara was learning that some girls were born to be storms. 3 weeks passed like winter through broken windows. The house held its breath, waiting for the next blow that never came. Samuel spent his days at the kitchen table with a bottle of whiskey, staring at the bloodstain that refused to scrub clean despite Clara's efforts. "You missed a spot," he'd say each morning, pointing at the dark mark with his glass. "I see. It to scrub harder." "I scrubbed for 2 hours yesterday, then scrub for 3 today." Clara learned to move quiet through rooms that remembered screaming. Anna's presence lingered in doorways, in the way sunlight fell across the kitchen counter, in the rocking chair that still creaked when wind hit the house just right. Clara set places for 2 at dinner, but cooked for 3, leaving Anna's portion on the stove until it grew cold. Samuel noticed. "Stop setting her place. She lived here. She's dead. Dead people still need remembering." He hurled his glass at the wall. Whiskey and a glass were scattered across Anna's family photos. "Dead people need burying and forgetting." Clara swept up the pieces without speaking. When Samuel passed out in his chair that night, she climbed to the attic for the first time since the funeral. Anna's childhood trunk sat beneath layers of dust and old quilts. Clara lifted the heavy lid, releasing the smell of lavender and old paper. Inside were letters tied with blue ribbon, written in Anna's careful handwriting. The first letter was dated 30 years ago, addressed to Anna's sister in the next county over. Samuel hit me again last night. Left bruises on my ribs that nobody can see. I think about leaving, but where would I go? Who would believe me? Clara's hands shook as she untied the ribbon. Letter after letter revealed the same story. Decades of violence hidden behind Sunday smiles and church potlucks. Anna had documented every beating, every threat, every promise to change that never came. He says, I make him do it. Says if I were a better wife, he wouldn't lose his temper. Maybe he's right. Maybe I deserve this. Clara found her grandmother's letters next. Same handwriting, same excuses, same husband who drank too much and hit too hard. The cycle stretched back generations. Women teaching daughters that love meant accepting pain.